My name is Sarah Whitmore. I'm 31, and I've spent most of my life as the youngest daughter of the Whitmore family, a wealthy dynasty in Santa Monica, where appearances matter more than truth. While my older siblings thrived, Landon charming investors, Victoria dazzling at charity galas, I was always the quiet one, the outsider who preferred books and ledgers to champagne and small talk. I've carried that sense of being invisible like a second skin, and yet, nothing could have prepared me for the betrayal lurking behind my husband's polished smile. The papers on my desk hinted at secrets I wasn't ready to face, but I couldn't look away. The courtroom smelled of polished wood and tension. Cameras clicked. Whispered murmurs cut through the air like blades. Dorian Hale sat at the plaintiff's table, immaculate in a charcoal suit, tie sharp, posture perfect, his smirk smug as if victory had already been handed to him. I forced myself to breathe. 1, 2, 3. My pulse racing, my palms sweaty. Power is the illusion we let others see, I muttered under my breath. The words felt like armor. Everything. It's mine, Dorian said, voice carrying over the murmurs. The condo, the accounts, even the damn cat. He glanced sideways at his mistress, Clara Bellamy, who smiled like a shark smelling blood. I felt the old familiar chill of being dismissed, underestimated, invisible. That was their mistake. I looked down at my legal folder. Harvey Klein, my lawyer, leaned in, whispering, "Did you check everything? Are we ready?" I nodded. Every single line. The gavel slammed. Silence fell like concrete. My eyes flicked to the bailiff, his hand trembling slightly as he unfolded a sheet of paper. Dorian's smirk faltered. He didn't see it coming. "An arrest warrant has been issued for Mr. Dorian Hale," the bailiff announced. The words hit the room like a gunshot.
Cut scene.
Flashbulb stuttered.
People gasped.
Lawyers whispered urgently to each other. Dorian's jaw tightened. His confident posture collapsed just a fraction. A bead of sweat slid down his temple. His eyes darted around, searching, calculating. I stayed calm. Heart hammering, hands clutching the chair's edge. "Trust is earned," I murmured, repeating a line I'd held close for years. "Not granted freely." A clerk whispered something into the judge's ear. The judge nodded slowly. Dorian opened his mouth, but no sound came out. He reached for his briefcase, hand shaking. Clara leaned forward, concern flickering behind her usual grin. Slow motion moment. The bailiff stepped back. Camera on Dorian's reflection in the polished courtroom floor. His shadows stretched across the marble, distorted, larger than life, and smaller than the threat he had just learned was coming. My eyes scanned the room, noting every reaction. Spectators frozen, lawyers stiff, his family in stunned silence. And then I saw it, a folded envelope, slipped under my folder while no one looked, marked with a small, sharp symbol I recognized immediately as Harvey's warning.
Cut.
I tore it open. Inside, a single note. "Check the condo deed. Not everything is as it seems." My pulse quickened. Every instinct screamed danger. Every ledger, every key, every line of contract I had ignored suddenly mattered. I felt it in my bones. The real game had begun. Dorian's eyes widened, but it wasn't fear. He was furious. And I realized the real game had just begun. The moment the courtroom emptied, my legs felt like lead. Every eye still burned in my memory. I clutched Harvey's folder tighter, the edges cutting faint lines into my palm. "Suspicion is the shadow of truth," I whispered, more to steady myself than anything else. Outside, the sun hung low over Santa Monica, reflecting off the ocean in blinding flashes. I stepped into the car, every instinct screaming that the arrest warrant wasn't the end. It was a distraction. Someone was watching. Always watching. The first text hit my phone before I even started the engine. "They're closer than you think. Trust no one." My stomach turned. Evan Cross's name floated in my mind, a shadow I couldn't place. He'd smiled at me at the deposition, all charm and ease, but charm could be a mask.
Cut scene.
The condo was empty. Too quiet. Too neat. I moved fast, checking doors, windows. The faintest scrape echoed from the kitchen. Nothing. Or someone hiding. My breath caught. I remembered the warning Harvey had whispered. You're rewriting their rules now. Stay sharp. I pulled out my laptop. Bank transfers. Contracts. Digital footprints. Half the files I'd reviewed last week had been altered. Chunks deleted. Signatures replaced with forgeries. Every account that should have been mine was frozen. Someone had anticipated my moves.
Cut scene.
A car slowed outside. Headlights swinging over the palm trees. I ducked behind the curtain. The plate flashed, rental, unmarked. I should have called the police, but instinct told me. Not yet. They were testing me. Pushing. Watching. Harvey's voice came through my earpiece, clipped and sharp. Sara, you're not just fighting Dorian. Someone's rewriting the game entirely. Trust Lydia, she's the key. Lydia Carrington. My assistant. Always the quiet one in the office. I had doubted her loyalty before. Now, every instinct urged me to trust her. I hit the phone. Quick code words, passwords. Files downloaded. Evidence secured.
Cut scene.
Footsteps on the marble stairs. Slow, deliberate.
Pause.
Move again. Shadow crosses the hallway. My pulse surged. Heart hammering. I grabbed the nearest object, a heavy letter opener, and crept toward the sound. Empty hallway. Nothing. Or everything. The next text was harsher. If you want to survive this, move now. They're not who you think. I froze. I raced down the stairwell, every step echoing like a drumbeat. My car. I had to reach it before the intruder, or worse, the setup closed in. The wind whipped my hair. A loose shutter banged against the house, sharp metallic clang. My chest tight.
Cut scene.
I spotted the figure at the end of the driveway. Evan?
No.
Too small. Too fast. He turned. A stranger. A hired shadow. I didn't chase. Not yet. I needed a plan. But as I crouched behind the car, I noticed the briefcase left in the grass, half hidden under leaves. I grabbed it. Cold metal. Papers inside. Encrypted files. A partial ledger. Something that smelled of betrayal. My mind raced. Dorian, Evan, the quiet family friends. I realized none of them were predictable. And that meant I had to assume everyone was dangerous.
Cut scene.
I slipped back into the shadows near the garage, heart hammering, wind ripping across my cheeks. Each footstep on gravel sounded like thunder. A siren in the distance, then silence.
Too quiet.
Caution is the art of survival, I muttered. I ducked into my car, doors locked. Harvey's last words rang in my ears. The chessboard has shifted, and you're no longer playing checkers. I tapped the briefcase on the passenger seat. Files spilling slightly. Passwords, accounts, schedules. All tangled in a web of deception I could barely grasp. A slow realization. Evan had been 2 moves ahead, and Dorian was just the bait.
Cut scene.
I started the engine, tires spinning on the wet asphalt from last night's drizzle. Rearview mirror caught a fleeting shadow on the street behind me. My hand tightened on the wheel. Not alone. Never alone. Clutching the briefcase, heart racing, I whispered, I thought I knew who to trust, but when Evan's name appeared on the security footage, my stomach dropped. The chessboard had shifted, and I was trapped. The warehouse lights flickered. Concrete walls hummed with tension. Every echo of my boots sounded louder than life itself. I could feel it, eyes tracking me from the shadows. I whispered under my breath, in chaos, clarity hides in plain sight. The briefcase lay heavy at my side, loaded with evidence that could topple more than one empire. But it also painted a target on my back.
Cut scene.
A metallic scrape. Behind me.
Eastbourne.
Empty hallway. Or was it? Every instinct screamed the same thing, move.
Fast.
Evan Cross emerged from the shadows, calm.
Too calm.
You're good, Sara, he said, voice low, dangerous. Better than I expected. I didn't respond. My hands went to the folders inside the briefcase. Contracts. Bank ledgers. Account transfers. Every forged signature. every manipulated line. Proof he'd orchestrated everything. Power is often hidden in plain sight, I murmured, reminding myself why I wasn't afraid. Not anymore. He stepped closer. I saw the flicker of panic, brief, fleeting, in his eyes. I pushed a small recorder onto the floor.
Click.
Captured every word, every confession. He didn't notice. Too focused on intimidation.
Cut scene.
A sudden noise behind a stack of crates. A figure moved Dorian, his face pale, hands shaking. Sara, he started. But I had no room for him. Not yet. Evans smirked. He was just a pawn, he said. And now you've found me. Dangerous, aren't I? I lunged toward the crates, kicking one over. Metal clanged. Sparks from the overhead light reflected on the wet floor. Adrenaline surged. I grabbed a cable, yanked it free, short-circuiting one bank of lights. Shadows danced. Every movement became a weapon.
Cut scene.
Outside, the sirens began. Harvey had been moving. He always said, "Justice favors the prepared, not the lucky." I grinned through the panic.
Prepared.
Always prepared. Evan froze. Too late. I opened the briefcase fully, sliding folders into the beam of a flashlight. Contracts, logs, and the hidden clause, my secret leverage.
He stepped back.
Tripped on a crate. Another shadow. Federal agents, guns drawn. The net closed in. Evan's smirk faded. His empire crumbled in real time. Dorian stumbled forward, caught between fear and relief. Sara, he breathed, unsteady. I didn't answer. Every betrayal had a price. And now he understood.
Cut scene.
I backed toward the exit. Flashing lights. Rotors from police helicopters overhead. Wind tore through the broken windows, papers swirling like confetti from a dark celebration. My heart pounded. Every second stretched. Every breath mattered. Evan made one last desperate move toward the exit, but an agent intercepted him. He froze. Handcuffs clicked. Relief, sharp as knives, coursed through me. I stood in the middle of the warehouse. Silence, broken only by the hum of emergency vehicles outside. My chest heaving, pulse racing, hands trembling, but steady. I had survived. I had won. I looked down at the files, the evidence, the truth revealed. My life, once cornered by betrayal, was now mine again. And yet, the city below whispered its own secrets. Shadows lingered in every corner, waiting. I inhaled. The wind whipped my hair. Sunlight cut through the dusty air, reflecting off shattered glass. The storm may be over, I whispered, voice steady, but the shadows never truly vanish. And as I stepped toward the exit, I knew someone would strike again. The moment I stepped into the estate, a chill ran down my spine. Doors shut too quietly. Windows reflected movement that wasn't mine. The closer you think you are to safety, the sharper the knives in the dark, I whispered, more to steady my own nerves than anyone else.
Cut scene.
The foyer was immaculate, but the silence screamed danger. Footsteps? Maybe. Or the faint shuffle of someone testing the house. My hand hovered over the concealed panic button under the table. The air smelled faintly of ozone, like electricity before a storm. I moved through the hall. Each room, ordered, untouched, yet wrong. A drawer slightly ajar. My legal folder shifted. Nothing else. Or everything.
Cut scene.
The phone vibrated sharply against the marble counter. A single text. Not everyone in your house is what they seem. Trust no one in the next hour. I froze. Pulse pounding. Lydia's name surfaced. My assistant loyal, or so I thought. Could she have been compromised? Suspicion is the seed of survival, I muttered under my breath. Footsteps upstairs. Heavy. Measured.
Pause.
Then retreat. Whoever it was, they wanted me to know they'd been here.
Testing me.
Watching. I grabbed the briefcase from the living room couch, heart hammering. Inside, financial records, encrypted USBs, half the evidence I had gathered in the warehouse. It had to be secured. Every file, Every number a thread in a web I was only beginning to see.
Cut scene.
A window rattled. Outside, shadows slipped past the hedges. Someone familiar? Or a hired shadow? I crouched, listening to the wind whip through the palms. Fear sharpens the senses, but courage must guide the hand. I whispered. I slid the files into a waterproof case and moved toward the garage. Every step measured. Every breath controlled. A sound, a soft metallic clatter, echoed from the kitchen.
Spoon.
Nothing. Or everything.
Cut scene.
The briefcase trembled in my grip. A shadow detached from the wall.
Quick.
Too quick. I ducked behind the column. Evan Cross. Smiling, calm, impossibly precise. You're moving faster than I expected, he said, voice smooth. Dangerous. But speed isn't the same as control. I didn't answer. My hand tightened on the case. Every instinct told me he was here to push me, provoke me, test limits I couldn't yet see.
Cut scene.
A crash from upstairs. A picture frame shattered. Dorian? Or someone else? My stomach clenched. My breathing shallow. Another text.
Short. Harsh.
They're already inside.
Move.
Or be trapped. I bolted down the hallway. Every door I passed felt like a gauntlet. Living room. Office.
Kitchen.
The front door swung open slightly. Too much to be wind. A shadow darted back into the house.
Cut scene.
I hit the panic button. A silent alarm triggered, lights flickering. Cameras in the estate blinked red. Somewhere outside, tires squealed. A car sped away. Someone had been monitoring me, inside, outside, every move anticipated. I ducked into the kitchen, pulling open the drawer. There it was, a hidden envelope I hadn't seen before. My name scrawled across it in sharp, deliberate handwriting. Inside, more files. Evidence. Another layer. Each document a revelation.
Cut scene.
Lydia appeared from the hallway, phone in hand, eyes wide but controlled. Sara, you need to see this.
Now.
I took the phone. Security footage. Shadows moving through the estate. Timing synchronized with my every step. Even in familiar places, the unknown can strike first, I said, voice tight. Cinematic beat. We crouched behind the counter. Footsteps approaching. Evan's figure appeared on the monitors. Not alone. A team. Preparing. Waiting. Watching.
Cut scene.
I swallowed. Every calculation, every preparation, every hard lesson I'd learned. The stakes had just multiplied. The estate, the evidence, my family's secrets, everything was a battlefield. And then I realized the next step would either expose the truth or bury me in secrets forever. The night was thick with fog when I slipped into the warehouse district. Streetlights flickered, casting long shadows across cracked pavement. Every step echoed. Every sound cut through the silence. Danger lurks where attention fades, I whispered, gripping the briefcase tighter.
Cut scene.
The USB drive blinked in my pocket. Inside, encrypted files revealed more than I'd imagined. Dorian hadn't acted alone. Evan Cross had orchestrated every financial move, every false document, every delayed signature. Dorian was just the pawn. I exhaled, slow, controlled. The truth is often buried in plain sight, I murmured, the words a shield against panic. A shadow detached from the alley.
Quick.
Fluid. I ducked behind a rusted dumpster. Metal screeched under boots. Not Dorian. Not Evan, someone else. Observer? Threat?
Cut scene.
Inside the abandoned warehouse, crates stacked high. Fluorescent lights flickered overhead. I moved like a ghost, scanning every corner. Surveillance cameras blinked red, active. Someone had anticipated my steps. Another flash on the USB. Coordinates. Timing. A meeting. And proof. Evan planned to move the last of the embezzled funds tonight. If I didn't act, it would vanish.
Cut scene.
Footsteps behind crates. Whispered voices. Too precise. Too organized.
Goons. Armed.
I ducked, drawing my concealed phone to capture audio. Every word a weapon. Every breath a countdown. I pressed a finger to my lips, signaling silence. Caution is the art of survival, I reminded myself. The crates rattled. A figure lunged. I rolled, narrowly avoiding contact, metal scraping against concrete. My briefcase hit the floor, papers spilling. I grabbed the USB, shoving it into my jacket.
Cut scene.
Sirens echoed from afar. Harvey's prearranged alert. Federal agents mobilizing. They triangulated Evan's escape route. Timing was everything. I had a window. A chance. I sprinted toward a side exit. Footsteps behind, faster. Breath ragged. Shadows closing. Wind whipping, carrying the scent of salt from the nearby docks.
Cut scene.
I reached the pier. Fog swirled around shipping containers. Lights cut through mist like searchlights. A crate shifted movement.
Quick. Silent.
I ducked behind a metal beam. Evan emerged. Calm, precise, dangerous. Impressive, he said, voice low, carrying over the water. You've found pieces I didn't expect you to see. I clutched the USB, heart racing. You underestimated me, I said.
Short.
Sharp. Truth edged in every word.
Cut scene.
The first gunshot rang. A warning. A ricochet off the metal container. I dove sideways, sliding across the wet surface. Heart hammering, lungs burning, hands trembling but steady. Every step calculated. Every breath timed. I spotted a shadow detaching from the far edge. A federal agent moving fast, silently. Closing in. Coordination. Precision.
Hope. Cut scene.
Evan's smirk faltered. He lunged toward the containers. I sprinted, intercepting him. Metal against metal. A struggle. Brief. Violent. Controlled. My fingers found the edge of the USB in his grip.
Pull. Yank. Click.
Secured. I pushed him back. The agent emerged, weapon drawn. Evan froze. Confusion.
Panic.
Cornered.
Cut scene.
I exhaled, slow. Adrenaline surging, chest tight. Every betrayal, every secret, every manipulated file. The pieces fit together now. The network, the money, the threats, they all unraveled with a single, coordinated move. I turned to look at the foggy water. Santa Monica's lights blurred in the mist, reflections fractured. Even in victory, shadows linger, I muttered.
Cut scene.
I glanced at the USB, then at the agent securing Evan. Dorian's name flashed in my mind. Complicit?
Pawn?
Fearful. He stepped out of the shadows, hands raised, eyes wide. Relief and panic tangled in him. The storm wasn't over. Not yet. I tucked the USB into my coat. Every step from here would matter. Every decision counted. And the next step would either expose the truth or bury me in secrets forever. The courtroom lights were harsh, cutting through the morning haze. Cameras whirred, capturing every twitch of a hand, every falter in a gaze. I stepped forward, briefcase in hand, evidence secured. Courage is measured in the moments no one sees, I whispered.
Cut scene.
Dorian sat rigid, eyes darting between me and the judge. His lawyers shuffled papers frantically. Evan Cross was nowhere in sight. He'd underestimated how far I'd traced him, underestimated that patience and preparation could be lethal. I set the briefcase on the table. One by one, I pulled documents, bank records, contracts. Hidden clauses revealed. Signatures forged. Transfers rerouted. The pieces fit together like a puzzle designed to crush me, but now they revealed him. The mastermind.
Cut scene.
The judge leaned forward. Ms. Whitmore, how did you obtain these? I met his gaze. Short, sharp. Preparation. And observation. Justice favors those who see the unseen. A murmur ran through the gallery. Dorian's jaw clenched. Power is always revealed in the silence before it strikes, I reminded myself.
Cut scene.
Footsteps echoed in the hallway. Federal agents arrived, moving fast, eyes sharp, guns low. Evan was cornered in a side corridor. I saw him freeze through the courtroom monitor, his control slipping, panic brief and sharp.
Cut scene.
Outside, helicopters rotated overhead, blades slicing through the light. Sirens bled into the room. A storm of truth, law, and consequences converged. I felt Harvey's presence behind me, quiet and unwavering. Every step led here, he said. Remember that.
Cut scene.
Evan burst in through a side entrance, desperate, calculating. The agents moved in like a tidal wave. He tried to flee. Quick, precise. I lunged, intercepting him. Hands on the briefcase, fingers brushing the USB. Metal against metal.
He faltered.
Step miscalculated. Cornered.
Cut scene.
Dorian's hands trembled. The realization hit him like a thunderclap. He'd been a pawn. His empire, illusionary, manipulated. He lowered his gaze, silent, small. I exhaled slowly. Even the strongest facades crumble when the truth stands unyielding. The agents moved Evan back. Handcuffs clicked. He struggled, but all momentum had drained. My chest heaved. Relief, sharp as glass, sliced through adrenaline.
Cut scene.
I turned to the courtroom, scanning faces. Family,
Friends.
lawyers, allies and betrayers. The weight of observation, of doubt, hung in the air. Every step I'd taken, every measure, every calculation had all led to this. The judge's gavel fell, echoing. Finality. Justice, cold and precise, had a name.
Mine. Cut scene.
Outside the courthouse, the city spread like a map of possibilities. Helicopter lights cut across the rooftops. Fog swirled from the ocean, reflecting neon and sun. I inhaled the salt-tinged air. My hands still trembled. My heartbeat still raced. Victory is never final. It's a beginning masked as an ending, I murmured, voice steady despite it all.
Cut scene.
Dorian lingered in the crowd, silent, watching. Evan was led into a waiting van, agents tight around him. I tucked the USB into my coat, every instinct alert. Shadows always lingered. Someone would watch. Someone would try again. But for the first time, I understood. I could meet them, face them, survive, and win. I stepped onto the courthouse steps, sun breaking through fog. Light reflected off shattered glass, fractured lines like the path I had walked. Pain, betrayal, fear, all dissolved into clarity. I had taken the storm and turned it into my own.
Cut scene.
I paused, looking down at the city, wind whipping through my hair. Justice is not given. It is earned, shaped by courage and clarity, I whispered. And in that moment I knew I had earned it. The storm had passed, but in the distance, I could feel it. The shadows lingered. And somewhere someone was already plotting the next move. But I would be ready. Always ready.